See what you made me do. It's a psychological game where a person blames others for their own mistakes or accidents, shifting responsibility away from themselves. Mike was upset after burning dinner. He turned to his partner, Jane, and said, "See what you made me do. If you hadn't asked me to watch the kids, this wouldn't have happened." Jane suggested ordering takeout to solve the immediate problem, but Mike replied, "Yes, but it's not the same as a home-cooked meal." Jane then proposed cooking together next time to share the workload, but Mike argued, "Yes, but we never have time to cook together." Every suggestion Jane made was met with Mike insisting it was her fault and that nothing could be done. This game is played to avoid taking responsibility and to make others feel guilty or responsible for one's own mistakes. Wooden leg. It's a psychological game where a person uses a real or imagined limitation as an excuse for not achieving something or for engaging in undesirable behavior. Tom never participated in team sports or physical activities at school. When his PE teacher, Ms. Clark, asked why he wasn't joining in, he said, "What do you expect? I have asthma and I can't do anything strenuous." Ms. Clark suggested he try low-impact exercises to build up his stamina, but Tom replied, "Yes, but even those make me short of breath." She then proposed he use his inhaler before activities, but Tom argued, "Yes, but it doesn't always help." Every solution Ms. Clark offered was met with Tom insisting his condition made participation impossible. The game ends with Ms. Clark feeling exasperated and Tom feeling justified in his avoidance. This game is played to avoid responsibility and to gain sympathy or lower expectations from others due to a perceived or actual limitation. Let's you and him fight. It's a psychological game where a person instigates conflict between two others, often stepping back to watch the drama unfold. Emma noticed that her co-workers, Dave and Sarah, had different opinions about how to handle a project. She told Dave, "Sarah thinks your approach won't work and is a waste of time." When Dave confronted Sarah, it sparked a heated argument about their project strategies. Emma stood back and watched as the conflict escalated, staying out of the fray. This game ends with Dave and Sarah feeling upset and Emma feeling entertained or satisfied by the conflict. This game is played to create drama or conflict between others while avoiding direct confrontation oneself. Rapo. It's a psychological game where a person flirts to provoke a sexual advance, then indignantly rejects it to gain a sense of moral superiority. Megan enjoyed flirting with her co-worker Jason during their lunch breaks. One day, she leaned in closer and laughed at his jokes, giving him the impression she was interested in him. Encouraged, Jason made a subtle advance, suggesting they grab dinner after work. Megan immediately pulled back and said, "I can't believe you would suggest that. I'm not that kind of person." Jason was left feeling embarrassed and confused, while Megan felt a sense of moral superiority. This game ends with Megan feeling validated and morally superior, while Jason feels humiliated and rejected. This game is played to feel desired and to assert moral superiority by rejecting the advance they provoked. Now I've got you, you son of a bee. It's a psychological game where a person sets up a situation to catch someone making a mistake and then aggressively blames or punishes them. Karen had always been annoyed by her neighbour Susan for making too much noise. One evening, she noticed Susan parked slightly over the line in their shared parking lot. Karen seized the opportunity, marching over and yelling, "I knew you were inconsiderate. Now I've got you, you son of a bee." She berated Susan for the minor parking mistake, making a big scene. This game ends with Karen feeling a sense of superiority and Susan feeling attacked and defensive. This game is played to express pent-up anger or frustration by making the other person feel guilty or inadequate. Schlemiel. It's a psychological game where a person repeatedly makes mistakes or acts clumsy, expecting others to clean up after them while gaining sympathy or attention. Jack was known for being clumsy at social gatherings. At a friend's dinner party, he spilled his drink all over the table. His host, Sarah, rushed to clean up the mess while Jack apologized profusely, saying, "I'm such a klutz, I can't believe I did that again." Later, he accidentally knocked over a vase, and again Sarah had to clean it up. Jack's repeated clumsiness led to Sarah feeling frustrated, but unable to openly express her annoyance because Jack's self-deprecating apologies garnered sympathy from other guests. This game ends with Jack receiving attention and sympathy, while Sarah feels burdened and unable to address the underlying issue. This game is played to avoid responsibility for one's actions while gaining attention and eliciting sympathy from others. Cops and robbers. It's a psychological game where one person plays the robber, breaking rules or creating problems, while another plays the cop, trying to catch or reprimand the robber. This dynamic creates a cycle of blame and pursuit. Tom often came to work late, breaking company rules. His manager, Alice, frequently had to reprimand him, saying, "You know you can't keep showing up late. We have rules for a reason." Tom would apologize and promise to be on time, but would soon revert to his old habits. Alice, in turn, would become increasingly vigilant, looking for any slip-up. This constant chase created tension and a repetitive cycle where Tom played the robber and Alice played the cop. This game ends with Tom feeling unjustly persecuted and Alice feeling frustrated and stressed. This game is played to create a cycle of conflict and blame, with both parties feeling justified in their roles of rule breaker and enforcer. Look how hard I've tried. It's a psychological game where a person emphasizes the effort they put into a task, often highlighting their struggle and sacrifices, to gain sympathy and avoid responsibility for not achieving the desired outcome. Emma spent countless hours studying for her final exams, often telling her friends, "I've been studying so hard, barely getting any sleep." When her grades came back lower than expected, she said, "Look how hard I've tried. I did everything I could, but the exams were just too difficult." Her friends suggested different study techniques for next time, but Emma replied, "Yes, but I already worked as hard as possible. There's nothing more I could have done." This game ends with Emma receiving sympathy and validation for her effort, while avoiding responsibility for the results. This game is played to gain sympathy and validation, while deflecting criticism and avoiding responsibility for not achieving the desired outcome. Kick me. It's a psychological game where a person behaves in a way that invites criticism or rejection, thereby confirming their belief that others are against them. Alex constantly submitted his work late and with many errors. When his manager, Lisa, pointed out the issues, Alex responded with, "I knew you were going to criticize me. Everyone here is always out to get me." Despite his colleagues offering to help him improve, Alex continued to make the same mistakes, prompting more criticism. Each time, he used the negative feedback to reinforce his belief that he was being unfairly targeted. This game ends with Alex feeling validated in his belief that others are against him, and Lisa feeling frustrated and helpless. This game is played to provoke criticism or rejection, thereby confirming the person's belief that they are always unfairly treated. Ain't it awful? It's a psychological game where people share their grievances and complaints about various aspects of life, seeking validation and bonding over shared negativity. Every lunch break, Mark and his co-workers gathered in the break room to vent about their job. Mark would start by saying, "The new project deadlines are impossible to meet." His co-worker, Jane, would chime in, "And the management never listens to our concerns." Another colleague, Tom, would add, "Don't get me started on the outdated software we have to use." They would spend the entire break commiserating about how terrible everything was at work, each one trying to top the other's complaints. This game ends with Mark and his co-workers feeling temporarily bonded over their shared negativity, but not actually addressing or solving any of the issues they complained about.